after my previous video, right, so the things that I read, so I'll start with this one here, which states that then these are the type of religious things that I delve into because they are not in essence religious, but a set of processes and procedures relating to life, right, in a greater depth in which we need to understand it. So the things like seen in terms of an individual. Here is a person who is about to be taken through an initiation ceremony. He has agreed to a commitment and awaits the moment when he will formally hear the rules of the spiritual tradition and promise to bear witness to them. Such a covenant is not to be taken lightly by anyone, for while such a declaration grants privileges which make the person a particular treasure to God, it also means that special duties are to be performed in this transcription between the divine and man. Because this contract is freely entered into by the individual, he is given plenty of time to ponder it as he prepares to undergo the initiation of Sinai. That is a high and deep place between the lower and upper worlds. And then he delves into a few verses and things like that, which I don't feel like is ultimately relevant at this particular present moment in time. But these are the sort of things that my mind has to explore and delve down this path, right? And then now, relating to my previous video, relating to instruction, right? The actions that we humans perform. So let's go deeper into this. So Kaplan's translation or interpretation commentary on the Sefer Yetzirah states that the stars also form an important link in God's providence over the physical world. Between God and man, there are many levels of interaction, the lowest being those of the angels and the stars. The Midrash thus teaches there is no blade of grass that does not have a constellation over it, telling it to grow. Right? That's and I have references for these. And so, as the commentaries explain, God's providence works through the angels, but these angels in turn work through the stars and planets. As some authorities put it, the angels are in a sense like souls to the stars. Thus, for example, some sources speak of the stars as having intelligence, but the commentaries note that this is actually speaking of the angels that are associated with them. But because of the limit of time in the video, I have to actually, I was reading a bit further up there, but the important section that I wanted to delve into, and I think this video might be longer than 3 minutes. If I have to, I'll just make another one or upload a YouTube short and then one that's not a YouTube short. But essentially, it goes to state that one of the most important factors in astrology is time and date of a person's birth, which also relates to death at some point. The Talmud thus states that there is a mazal of the hour. The time, day, and date upon which a person is born has an important influence on his destiny. Right? Also, the Talmud teaches that there is an angel called Layla or Laile that oversees birth. It is this angel that proclaims if the individual will be strong or weak, wise or foolish, rich or poor. Earlier, however, we discussed the Midrashic teaching. One angel cannot have two missions, and two angels cannot share the same mission. And there's references from the Talmud and other teachings. But if this is a general rule, how can a single angel oversee the birth of every person who was ever to be born? Does this not mean that he has many missions? The question also applies to all permanent angels who have names. These angels, which were created on the fifth day, exist forever in the course of their existence. They must have many tasks and missions. Why does this rule not hold true with regard to them? In answering these questions, the commentaries note that the angels are like souls to the stars. A human soul is also a spiritual entity, and the same question could be asked about it. How can a single soul be involved in many tasks? But here the answer is obvious. The soul is integrated by its association with a single body. It is differentiated into many souls by its many tasks because its association with the body allows it to remain an integrated whole. Right now, I think overall, from what we can glean from this here, is that like a human being has angels associated. So the angels are made parallel, and each angel has an oversight over a single human being, right? So we can start there. So I think that, I sort of delved around aspect of the point there and read a bit much, but essentially, given what I've said so far, so we go back here, which is an important aspect as well, which speaks of the Midrash thus teaches there is no blade of grass that does not have a constellation over it telling it to grow. And for a constellation, you ultimately need it to revolve around something. So this tells us, in essence, that we each have our own universe, right? And then this universe has its applied angels to it. And if you go to a video I made when I first came to Thailand, I spoke about the eternal light and the darkness, and how if one's able to move speed of light or whatever, they can interpret and analyze that light, right? A minute. Right, so when it comes to the teaching of hold on. Right, so Rabbi Isaac of Akko, right, clearly points out an important scripture, which is that for 1,000 days in your sight are as a day, right? So this is Psalm 90:40, right, which clearly states that since one of our years is 365 days on average, right, with a quota, a year in heaven, right, or a year on high is 365,250 days, right, of our years, right, because for 1,000 days in your sight are as a day, right? So when you think about that, now just try imagine that, right? Given everything I've said so far, given also the YouTube video I made previously when I first got to Thailand about using the sun, right? So the sun reflects into space, right? Given that, and given the previous video and everything that I've said right now, you should be able to understand how the analytics process takes place in heaven, right? To understand humans, right? And I think humans, we can't comprehend that, right? So 365 days in heaven that's 365 250 of our years. So 2 years in heaven is 730,000 of our years, right? That in itself should just make you ponder. And also you got to imagine you've got your own stream of light, right? Because you have your own constellation. So the thing, right? And then you have angels assigned to you, right? So that should put everything in perspective. And I know that there's a Black Mirror episode. There's a Black Mirror episode relating to this, you know. And so to me, like, and I'm telling you this because I've been told this. Well, I've been shown this, right? And I think that's just the whole thing regarding intention, our actions. Everything counts, and I think that, again, a lot of people try to wonder as to the understanding of, well, yeah, well, if, you know, like, how can they prove it, or some shit like that, right? And ultimately, unfortunately, that's how it works, you know? But to understand it is obviously difficult, because we don't want to delve down that road where we actually explore what the truths are. But that's ultimately it, man. That's all and that's ultimately it. And I appreciate that these rabbis are there, because they're the ones that really give the correct insight that I need, and that a lot of us need, in order to fully be able to embrace this reality. So yes, I hope that does something in aiding your further understanding, your further belief, and from my perspective, my intention is to express and highlight the power of what many on our planet have come to understand as God.